some more. Someone to snack. I could eat that when I'm done. The Lay's potato chips. I know it's really good, but I want to try to eat one today. What is this? Nutrition facts. Nutrition facts. I want to read that. But anyways, let's get these customized. Nutrition facts. Didn't want to read that. Anyways, here's my Lay's potato chips. In front of the camera. You can see the nutrition facts. But it's impossible. Nutrition facts. Nutrition facts want me that. So they're very tasty Lay's. Nutrition facts. They're very good Lay's potato chips. So I think they're potatoes. And this is a very good channel, Border Farm. So even look at the TV, my switch on camera. Look. It's so dark like that. Anyways, I'll get recorded Superman Aussie. 1 million screenshots and videos. How you do it again? Microsoft DC. And get a card to put it as many of them. So, because I'm unable to take a capture in Superman Aussie with a picture, so you can capture Frog in Superman Aussie. That was a sequence as well, why it didn't beat the whole game. And Bowser you can capture in the Mushroom Kingdom, and no sequence was there. In Moon Kingdom there was sequence when Mario capturing Bowser. This channel looks good. I believe it. I believe you. I do like that. Yeah, that looks really weird. We got weird intro and some Lay's ketchup potato chips. And you feel what's inside. The old just did the Lay's ketchup thing. No ketchup. There's some ketchup inside this nutrition facts. Want me that? They're spicy, folded like this. It says December 25. No, it says December 15. Look, nutrition facts. Want me that? So. What am I looking for? What am I doing? Yeah, this looks very weird intro. God believe you. This is a very weird intro of me. Yeah, and also this is just we're needing extra work. So let's just say it's a popular band. We can end this video at 7:1. Yeah. Now I gotta end it at 5, so it can be better. Now I gotta get that nutrition facts. I want to read that. So also there was that thing who was nutrition facts. Who was nutrition facts at the same time, just in case. The comments cannot be in private videos.